Girl was not his type. After chatting a bit more, Cole and Yvonne took their leave. Once they were out of the building, Yvonne couldn't hold back any longer. Boss, she's practically trying to recruit you as a son-in-law. A multi-million-dollar investment, help with loans, probably a ton of real estate, too. Aren't you tempted? Tempted my ass, Cole replied bluntly. I, the future head of a Fortune 500 company, am going to marry into a rich family for a measly couple of million. Buffed. And I'm a future rotating CEO of that company. Boss, you're so shameless. Yvonne laughed, not at all ladylike. Her eyes were filled with mock disdain for her boss, but also something much deeper and more intense. Unfortunately, her boss was staring straight ahead, completely oblivious. He just laughed. Well, you'd better work hard then. It might just happen. If that day ever comes, I'll bring you tea and coffee every single day. Oh, so I hire you as CEO, and all you're going to do is serve drinks? It's just an expression. I do other things too. The two bantered as they headed to their next stop, Ron Carter. Meanwhile, in the capital, at the Helen family home. Dad, when are we going home? Serena asked. I'm going back tomorrow. You and your mom will stay a couple more days to spend time with your grandpa, Davidson said, his eyes flickering. Doesn't Mom have to work? Why don't we all go back together? I need to get a new SIM card, Serena said, looking at her father with pleading eyes. Her phone had been taken by her little cousin to play Snake and was now lost. You're staying for 2 more days. Your grandpa said so, and your mom has taken leave. If you're bored, didn't your cousin give you a laptop? You can chat with your classmates on Facebook Messenger, David said, patting his daughter's head gently. No, I don't like logging into my accounts on other people's devices. It's not mine. There's no privacy, Serena said, shaking her head. Using someone else's things always felt uncomfortable, and she would never, ever log into her accounts on a device that wasn't her own. She suspected her phone wasn't lost, but had been taken by her mother. But she had no proof. It didn't matter. She had cleared her chat history before coming to her grandfather's house. Her mother's strange behavior over the past few days had made her cautious. To protect Cole, she had to be meticulous. Just stick it out for 2 days, Serena. After you go back to school, your grandpa won't see you for so long, David said, looking at his daughter with affection, a hint of helplessness in his eyes. He had no choice but to go along with it. Even though Spencer had said it was unlikely she was dating anyone, they still had to be careful. It was for her own good, after all. However, they hadn't found any chat records between his daughter and her classmates. That was strange. There should have been some history, unless she had deleted it. And why would she delete it? That was the crucial question. Helen had already asked someone to try to recover the data. If they could, they would know for sure what was going on. If it weren't for the fact that their daughter was still a virgin, the whole family would have already panicked. To grow into a towering tree in the political world, one couldn't have any stray branches, especially when it came to one's reputation. Power doesn't come without a price. David Shun had gotten to where he was through the support of the Helen family and his old mentor, but also through his own extreme self-discipline and caution. His 2 high-ranking brothers-in-law were the same, like perfect textbooks. His daughter was destined for the same path, but she wasn't mature enough yet. She needed her family to help prune her. Hearing her father put it that way, Serena had no choice but to agree. Okay, Dad. Her thoughts had already flown to Eastwood University. What was her Cole doing right now? 3 days later, a not-so-busy Cole received a message from Serena. Cole, I lost my phone and got a new one. Just got my new SIM card. Cole understood immediately. That's why. I knew she wouldn't just disappear without a word. She lost her phone. He replied. I figured it was something like that. Serena, you don't even miss me loudly crying face I didn't get any messages from you. Cole grinned. I was worried if I messaged you, your family would see it and it would cause trouble for you. So I had to endure the pain of missing you in silence face-blowing a kiss. Serena, Cole, you're the best. Babe misses you so much face-blowing a kiss. Cole, I miss my babe too so much. Does that mean you're going to have to comfort me properly when you get back? Serena, yes. And babe needs your comfort too, flushed face. Cole let out a sly laugh, his mind already spinning. He'd have to find time to buy some stockings. He hadn't seen Serena in them yet. A few days later, it was February 14th. A special day, but the situation was not what Cole had expected. Neither Jasmine nor Serena was with him. So, he sent the messages on Facebook, wishing them a happy Valentine's Day. Jasmine replied, What stupid Valentine's Day? Don't be a fool and fall for that scam. Every day that you listen to me is my Valentine's Day. Serena replied, Cole, that's just a capitalist conspiracy to sell things. My cousins all say so. I don't like traditional holidays either, like the one where the lovers only see each other once a year. The symbolism is terrible. I don't like it. I want you to be with me every day. Cole was both moved and ashamed. He'd just been schooled. But they were right. February 14th was kind of ridiculous, and the one-day-a-year holiday really did have terrible symbolism. Worse than an online relationship. That night, Cole took Luna out for dinner. When he mentioned Valentine's Day, she also said she didn't like it, calling the holiday bizarre. As long as she was with Cole, every day was a holiday. The unintentionally romantic line moved Cole to his core. He then took her to his apartment at the Golden Bay Residences and, holding on to his ultimate fantasy, moved her thoroughly. After the Lantern Festival, the students returned to campus in droves, and business at the Tea Alchemist began to boom again. The university's administrative committee had approached Cole, asking if he needed an interest-free entrepreneurial loan. Cole politely declined, saying his funds were still sufficient. The university's loans were actually a great deal, but they had limits, usually a few thousand to $10,000. And you had to submit transcripts, a business plan, and so on. It was a hassle. The key problem was that his transcript was full of failing grades. If he really needed money, Cole would go to the Student Activities Board and see if he could get an exception and borrow $1 million. During this time, several advertisers had renewed their contracts, and he had signed a dozen new ones. Many of the business owners knew each other, which saved the promotions department a lot of work. Cole decided it was time to start the next phase of his plan. Cole called Yvonne and the 3 newly appointed team leads from the promotions department into a meeting. Boston, Atlanta, and Austin. These 3 cities with the highest concentrations of universities are our next targets. The initial teams will come from our main office. Anyone who doesn't want to go can stay here in Eastwood. These 3 offices will eventually become branches of Headline Today, provided you can establish and expand the business. You 3 will each take 2 people to start, rent an office space, and find housing. Director Wong and I will go to Boston first to assist, then visit the other 2 cities. If you run into any problems you can't solve, report them first and work around them. Wait for me or Director Wong to get there. Cole gave them detailed instructions. Before the app was released, he didn't plan to cast a wide net. He would continue to focus on university towns. This would largely protect him from attacks by other internet companies. And he wasn't involved in logistics or delivery, the main battlegrounds for those tech giants. As long as he could capture the university markets in a few key cities, he would have a solid foothold. Launching the app would then be much smoother. With his own funds, he could expand without needing outside investment. Cole had a 2-year head start on the mogul from his past life. Yes, sir. The 3 team leads, 2 men and 1 woman, had a fire in their eyes. They never imagined they'd get an opportunity like this. They thought they'd be stuck in their team lead positions for a long time, waiting for the company to open a branch before they could move up. This was a godsend. Anyone who worked in promotions was ambitious. What they lacked was opportunity. The choice of cities was based on the hometowns of the 3 leads. He hadn't originally planned to tackle major cities like Boston and Atlanta first, but since he had locals on the team, he wasn't going to be polite about it. These juniors and seniors hadn't officially entered the workforce yet. Being far from school and home while shouldering heavy responsibilities could be stressful. This arrangement would give them some peace of mind. The lead for Boston was a senior, a sturdy, fair-skinned woman with a sharp wit who could talk circles around you. She was already raring to go back and make a name for herself. The leads for Atlanta and Austin were both guys. Anyone who dared to work in promotions had to be a good talker with an outgoing personality. They, too, were full of hope for the future. Director Wong, your responsibilities are about to get much heavier. You need to prepare performance metrics for the promotions department, and you'll need to handle training and other things, Cole said, looking at Yvonne. When setting up new offices, the biggest mistake was to neglect them. You had to delegate authority so the branches could act expediently. But you also had to centralize power to keep them from getting carried away and ensure they always aligned with headquarters. Therefore, Yvonne needed more power, which also came with more responsibility. Yes, sir. Yvonne responded loudly, stars practically shooting from her eyes. The 3 leads were people she had personally selected. She knew them well. She was very confident. But what made her heart race with joy was the thought of going on a business trip with her boss. It reminded her of a certain NTR adult film she had seen. Would her boss do that to her? Oh, I'm so scared. After the meeting, the entire company knew about Cole's plan. As soon as Jasmine, who had been in the library, heard her brother was going to Boston with Yvonne, she immediately left and called him. Letting him go on a business trip with Yvonne? Unacceptable. Her brother might get himself into trouble. He was her project. Seeing it was his sister calling, Cole was a little surprised. She usually just messaged him. He quickly walked into the fire escape stairwell. Sis, what's up? Cole, can I go on a business trip with you? Jasmine asked, her tone pleading. Sis, I need you here to hold down the fort. You need to expand the administrative team by 2 people, 1 for Headline Today and 1 for the Tea Alchemist. And you have to manage all the personnel transfers and administrative divisions for the 3 new offices. There's a lot to do, sis, Cole said, smiling to himself. He knew exactly what she was worried about, but she really couldn't go. There was too much administrative work for her to do. There was a long silence on the other end of the line, followed by a deep breath. You're not allowed to do anything bad. I'll be very angry if you do. You know what I mean? Her voice was a little frantic, but also helpless. Sis, what are you thinking? I'm going for work, Cole said, grinning. He was waiting for his reward. Sure enough, Jasmine continued. If you behave, I'll agree to one of your conditions. Then I want to see you wear a lace top with a sheer skirt and do a lyrical dance for me. And I want to see you do the splits. As he spoke, he stuck his tongue out and wiggled his eyebrows. You're unbelievable. That's all you think about. So, are you going to do it or not? What do you want from me? Dress like that. I want it. Yes or no? Yes. Fine, yes. You're so annoying, but I'm going to check up on you. And if you fail the inspection, I'll never talk to you again. Deal. A promise is a promise. Cole laughed to himself. Check up on me? How? By frisking me? If I start to fire, don't blame me for what happens before I turn 20. Not long after he hung up with Jasmine, his phone buzzed. A Facebook message. It was Serena. Cole, are you going to Boston with Director Wong? Yes, we're opening a promotions office there. It's necessary for her to go. You just got back to school, and now you're leaving again. Babe is going to miss you so much. I wish I could go with you, loudly crying face. You're our legal counsel. You'll have plenty of opportunities to travel with me in the future. All right, then I need to hurry up and learn more. And what, babe? Cole blinked. She can't be thinking the same thing as Jasmine, can she? And you're not allowed to do anything bad. I've always thought the way Director Wong looks at you is strange, saboteur-leave face. It's not strange at all, babe. You're imagining things. I promise nothing will happen. Really? Hugging face. Really? I believe you, Cole. Tonight, I want you to hold me while I sleep. Okay, I'll pick you up after work, and we'll get dinner. Okay, face-blowing kiss. After putting his phone away, Cole was overjoyed. He had already bought all kinds of stockings, black, white, fishnet, just waiting for Serena. Now, how to convince her to wear them? At 6 in the evening, in the women's dormitory of the law school, Serena was putting her hair up in front of the mirror. Serena, are you going out later? Zoe asked curiously. Her roommate had been gone overnight twice already. If it weren't for the fact that everyone knew her status was unusual, the news that the flower of the law school wasn't sleeping in her dorm would have spread like wildfire. Yeah, Serena's reply was full of joy. Are you going to see Colchin? Zoe asked tentatively. Serena turned to look at her roommate. The sudden intensity in her eyes made Zoe's heart leap. It almost broke her composure, nearly forcing her to confess the secret she was keeping. She forced a smile. Just asking. Be safe. Call me if you need anything. Okay, thanks. Serena turned back to the mirror and continued with her hair. But a sliver of confusion entered her eyes. She had a sharp sense that her roommate was acting differently than usual, but she couldn't quite put her finger on what it was. A light drizzle had fallen earlier in the day, leaving the air damp and chilly, but it did nothing to cool the spirits of the students. They walked in pairs and small groups, a current of youthful energy flowing across the Eastwood University campus, enjoying the freedom that came before the real-life game truly began. As Cole approached the women's dorm for the School of Law, he saw her waiting for him. Serena was bundled in a short, white puffer jacket over a camel-colored cashmere dress. Black leggings clung to her long, perfectly curved legs. Cole! Serena's voice was a sweet, drawn-out purr as she broke into a run. Just as she always did, she launched herself at him from a few feet away. Cole caught her in a fluid motion, his arms wrapping around her as her legs locked around his waist. He supported her by her cute, upturned butt, letting her cling to him like a happy octopus. Baby, I missed you so much. Serena nuzzled her cheek against his. Miss me all you want, Cole grinned. Don't hold back. Oomph. You didn't say you missed me. Serena kicked her legs playfully, a hint of a pout in her voice. My thoughts of you have already filled my heart to bursting. Cole whispered, his lips against her ear. The only reason I don't say it is because there's a traffic jam at the base of my throat. Why do you have to say things like that? Tell me more. Serena's face was flushed, her bright eyes shimmering with joy. She rubbed against his neck like a kitten. All right. I'll tell you as we walk. I don't want to walk. You can carry me. So Cole walked, carrying the koala-like girl toward the campus edge. The posture was awkward for walking, but the feeling was unbeatable. They were in their own world. Cole had thick skin, He didn't care about the looks they got. Eventually, though, Serena couldn't take the strange stares from the other students and slid down. Up on the sixth floor of the dorm, Zoe watched her roommate and Cole disappear, stuck together like glue. She pulled out her phone and hesitated for a long moment before letting out a heavy sigh. She selected a contact, typed a few words, and hit send. "I'm sorry, Serena. The offer your family made was just too good to pass up." 40 minutes later, Serena, who was happily eating at a bustling row of food trucks, felt her phone vibrate. It was her mom. She shot Cole a quick look and answered. "Serena, where are you?" Her mother's voice was calm, betraying nothing. "I'm out, just getting something to eat," Serena said honestly after a slight pause. "With who?" "I'm with my roommate." There was a 3-second silence on the other end. "I don't care where you are. Get back to your dorm. Now." The tone was no longer peaceful. It was a command. "Why, Mom?" Serena was baffled. She glanced at Cole, a flicker of worry in her eyes. Having overheard Serena's half of the conversation, Cole felt a knot of unease. Her mother's voice grew severe. "There is no why. I said come back, so you come back. Mom, what's wrong with you?" Her mother's behavior was so abnormal that Serena felt a pang of guilt alongside her confusion. "Nothing's wrong. If you're not back in your dorm right now, I'm applying to have you transferred to a school in Boston." The unfamiliar, harsh way her mother spoke stunned Serena. "Mom, I'm a grown-up. I was just—" "You can choose not to come back," her mother interrupted, her voice leaving no room for argument. "And I'll start the transfer paperwork tomorrow." The color drained from Serena's face. Her lips trembled, and she couldn't form a single word. After a long moment, she managed, "Mom," but she was cut off again. "Now. Right now. Immediately." The unprecedented fury in her mother's voice made Serena flinch. Her face was ashen. The piece of calamari she'd been chewing felt stuck in her throat. The night was filled with the noise of the crowd, so Cole couldn't hear the other side of the call, but he could clearly see the life drain from Serena's expression. Something was definitely wrong. He reached out and gently rubbed her back. Serena wanted nothing more than to collapse in his arms and sob, but she couldn't. Her voice trembled. Mom, I'm coming back." She had to. Knowing her mother, she would absolutely follow through on the threat. While it was technically against the rules for a freshman to transfer, rules like that weren't absolute for a family like hers. She hung up before her mother could say another word. Her body swayed, and Cole quickly reached out to steady her. "I'm sorry, Cole. I have to go back to the dorm," she said, her eyes, filled with apology, starting to well up. A tightness gripped her chest. Blood rushed to her head, making it throb. Her mother's words were like a mountain pressing down on her, suffocating her. "I get it. Let's go back," Cole said, his voice soft as he continued to soothe her. "Don't rush. Don't get upset. Just breathe." He didn't need to ask to know what this was about, but he would never badmouth her family to her. That was a line Serena had to draw for herself. All he could do was be her anchor. "Okay," Serena whispered, a flicker of warmth in her eyes before it was swallowed by anxiety and despair. If she refused the transfer, the university wouldn't force it. But that would mean open rebellion against her mother. The cost of that was too high. Just thinking about the fallout was a crushing psychological weight. This was the woman who had raised her. What did she possibly do? One phone call was all it took to turn joy into suffocating misery. The laughter and noise of the food truck park felt like another universe. They walked back toward campus, Cole's arms supporting her, keeping her steady. The return journey was slow. Serena stared at the ground, silent. Cole remained quiet, too, simply holding her hand tightly. She gripped his hand back, her fingers weaving through his as if she were holding onto an oxygen mask. 20 minutes later, Serena walked into her dorm room, her face a blank mask. "You're back already?" Zoe asked, feigning surprise. A flicker of guilt, there and gone in an instant, crossed her eyes. Serena didn't answer. She silently climbed onto her bed, pulled the covers over her head, and faced the wall. A wave of panic hit Zoe. Could she know? She quickly dismissed the thought. Impossible. They promised they'd never reveal the source. "As long as I deny it, no one will ever know." Zoe felt a pang of self-loathing, but she pushed it down. The simple fact was someone else could give her what she needed. Sticking close to her roommate might pay off someday, but how could that compare to the tangible benefits right in front of her? She was a law student, and the person who'd made the offer was a titan in the legal world. The choice was obvious. Besides, the way they'd framed it made sense. This wasn't a betrayal. It was just helping Serena's family look out for her in a different way. The tree-lined paths on campus were quiet that night, but not peaceful. On his way back to his dorm, Cole saw at least 3 couples in the middle of a fight. One pair was locked in a tense push-and-pull, Another was in a silent, cold war, one person chasing the other fleeing. The winter break seemed to have subtly shifted everyone's fate. Cole had a good idea of what Serena was facing, and he knew it was almost certainly because of him. In this clash between her and her family, there was nothing he could do. The only thing was to be patient. The last thing he should do was jump in and make things worse with some misguided sense of heroism. Back in his room, Cole messaged Luna for a bit. The sweet girl didn't seem too worried about him getting into trouble, just sad that he was going so far away. He also chatted with Jasmine, who gave him her usual list of stern instructions. All three of his roommates were there. The atmosphere was strange. Frank was huddled in the corner of his bed, his face pale, his eyes sunken. Preston and Javi were ignoring him. They'd warned him, but he dived right back into that same old trap. Who was there to blame but himself? Cole already knew what happened. On Valentine's Day, Frank hadn't met his girlfriend's expectations. She'd ghosted him then and there. He hadn't heard from her until he got back to campus. When he'd excitedly run to find her, ready with an explanation, she'd refused to see him. Then someone told him the truth. She'd been back on campus for days, already coupled up with another guy. And so, Frank had shattered. He'd spent the previous day howling in the dorm. Today was an improvement. At least he was quiet. Cole shot a sympathetic glance at Frank, fighting the urge to tell him to get back to writing his web novel. He decided to be merciful and held his tongue. If he doesn't post an update by this weekend, I'll just post his door number on headline today, he thought. His readers will encourage him. Maybe this disaster was a blessing in disguise. Maybe Frank would now be free of the distractions of women, and the words would flow like a river. Ard, oof. Frank suddenly let out 2 dry sobs, making the other 3, who were scrolling on their phones, jump. Frank, what the hell, man? Preston asked, annoyed. My life is a tragedy, Frank lamented, his voice hollow. It's not that bad, Cole offered sincerely. It's just a little monochromatic. Frank's face froze for a second before he started wailing again. Ow, wow. My heart. It hurts so much. What's there to be heartbroken about? Preston rolled his eyes, his voice dripping with envy. You were getting laid for months. At least your money wasn't a total waste. Could you please stop trying to comfort me? It's just making it worse. Frank ran a hand through his hair in agony. He then declared, with profound despair, this will be a scar on my heart that I'll carry for the rest of my life. If you can't untie the knot, tie it into a bow, Cole said, a phrase from his past life popping into his head. At least it'll look nice. Ugh, I don't want to talk to you guys anymore. Frank flopped onto his bed and pulled the covers over his head. Cole chuckled. Wake up and smell the coffee, buddy. Channel that grief into words. His cereal was actually getting pretty popular, perfect for running ads. The next morning, Cole, along with Yvonne from the promotions team, Megan, the head of the marketing department, and 2 other employees who had volunteered for the new Boston office, boarded an Acela train heading north. His Facebook Messenger was buzzing with concerned messages from Jasmine and Luna. But there was nothing from Serena. Cole wasn't worried. He waited patiently. About halfway through the journey, a message finally came through. Serena. Cole, I overslept. My head hurts so much. Cole's heart ached for her. Cole, take the day off. Skip your classes and get some rest. Serena, come back soon, okay? Crying emoji Cole. The second I'm done with business, I'm on my way back. Hug emoji Serena. Hug emoji. Putting his phone down, Cole asked himself a question. Am I being selfish? Of course. But am I wrong? No. In the future he came from, where money could buy bodies, genuine affection and happiness were rare commodities. If he didn't seize this chance now, when would he? As long as Serena was willing to run toward him, he was willing to fight for her. As long as Headline Today wasn't controlled by outside forces, he wasn't afraid of anyone. As for the other problems, they would be solved in time. Love was just like business. Fortune favors the bold. Both required strategy, timing, and a healthy dose of greed. The timid get left with an empty plate. Sitting next to him, Yvonne could feel a sudden shift in the freshman. He seemed deeper, more serious. He had the air of a seasoned veteran. It was strange. She'd dressed up today, a stylish coat over a dress with sheer black tights. She'd even gotten her hair done in a trendy Korean style. She looked like a goddess and had turned plenty of heads in the station. But she wasn't happy because she hadn't attracted Cole's attention. Then again, she thought it's to be expected. I can't compare to those 3. Sigh. Why was I born when they already exist? Yvonne's sigh caught in her throat. There were 3 of them. But then, her eyes lit up. This was a perfect opportunity. As someone who knew his secret, she was an undisputed confidant. Yes, she had to work hard to run interference for him. And if things got tough, she could even give him a little push in the right direction. After arriving in Boston, the group of five headed straight for a neighborhood in the suburbs. The reason was simple. The rent was affordable. They couldn't spring for an office building, but a residential apartment would work just fine. Cole knew this area. After graduation in his past life, he had followed Julia here, playing the part of the devoted simp for a while longer. Not long after he finally woke up from that dream, he met a sweet but loud girl from Maine and had started simping for her instead. Ugh. His track record was embarrassing. Well, at least I got somewhere with them. He consoled himself. I was only a semi-simp. Mr. Chen, what are you thinking about? Yvonne asked, noticing him staring thoughtfully at a row of apartment buildings. Oh, nothing. Just remember an old friend, Cole said, a small smile playing on his lips. While they got to work in Boston, things were heating up in Rockford. Teams of 3 business reps had set up tables at the entrances of several major universities. They had a banner and a folding table with a sign that read in big, bold letters, "Surf the web with Headliner." They set up a canopy to block the wind, arranged their chairs, and put up another pull-up banner. News, novels, and new friends, all on Headliner. The most popular website for young people. Everyone can be an influencer. They had teams like this at all the busiest campus gates. Other 2-person teams were handing out flyers along the main pathways. The promotion strategy was almost identical to Headline today's, but with even more manpower. In various student group chats, people who'd been hired for part-time work started promoting the news site, talking up how great the experience was, how many beautiful girls were on it. They claimed that the campus queen from Eastwood Tech had already signed up and had a huge number of fans, and was even posting exclusive, spicy photos. Even Preston got a message. He didn't hesitate for a second. Block report done. Why would he betray his own roommate for an outsider? Did they think he was an idiot? Far away in Boston, Cole got the news immediately. He found an internet cafe and logged on to Headliner to take a look. A wave of relief washed over him. A bunch of cheap knockoffs. In the Headline Today developer group chat, Marcus, the cheerful round-faced programmer, typed, "Boss, it's just a copy of Twitter. It's nothing like our platform. They have a novel section like us, but there's no content. They'll have to find writers to fill it," added Leo, the one with glasses. "There's no personalized recommendation feed," Jenna chimed in. "The homepage just shows a few accounts with a big V tag, and their content is just reposted news articles." Wyatt delivered the final verdict. The chances of Will creating a learning-based search engine are close to 0. Give him another year of study, and maybe he'd scratch the surface. His specialty is front-end frameworks, not algorithms. Good. Let's just focus on what we're doing. The market's big enough. Let them burn through their cash, Cole replied, completely unconcerned after his brief tour of the rival site. The team understood. The strategy was to ignore them and let them make a big, expensive splash. Even if they landed advertisers, they'd still have to honor that 60% revenue share they promised their influencers. In the main company chat, Fiona, the editor, sent a message. "At Cold Shun, people are spamming our site with ads for Headliner." Wyatt replied, "No problem. We were ready for that." The dev team ran a small script, blocking the word Headliner and any variations of it from being posted. Cole added, "Editorial and moderation teams, step up your monitoring. We need to prevent any inappropriate content from appearing. If you see it, ban it. Editorial, add related keywords to the filter. Anything that triggers a review gets kicked back immediately." Got it, boss. Roger. He knew their next move. They'd probably hire people to post explicit content and then report Headline Today to the authorities. Cole wasn't going to be so generous as to let them advertise on his platform. He just blocked them from posting anything at all. Let them choke on it. Using homophones and misspellings would be far less effective. With that handled, Cole sent a few messages to his 3 darlings to keep them from worrying. He was touched that, even under pressure, Serena wasn't taking her emotions out on him, just asking for hugs and kisses. She'd even gone to class that afternoon, clearly in a much better mood. Most girls from his past life would have used the situation as an excuse to pick a fight, ending with the classic line, "When I say it's nothing, it means it's something." A girl this rare, this good, Cole thought, she has to be the mother of my children. Twins, preferably. Yep, he needed to make more money. Money was a son of a bitch, but a useful one. If you threw enough of it at a problem, there was nothing you couldn't beat. He suddenly remembered a line from a movie, spoken by a suave crime boss. "Every man who accomplishes great things does it for a woman." It was true for most men. The next line, however, "I am one of the rare few who doesn't," was a standard few could live up to. That included the jaded, cynical Cole from his past life. In the end, wasn't he just hustling so he could have a girlfriend 10 years younger who wore black stockings? But the current Cole had ascended to a higher plane. He was one of the rare few who didn't live for a woman. He lived for 3. Now, that was inspirational. Cole grinned and got back to work. The task of renting an apartment was handled by Megan, the new Boston office manager. A two-bedroom in this area wasn't cheap, a few thousand a month, but it was a bargain compared to a commercial office space. They could worry about a proper office when Headline Today was bigger. For now, don't worry about the Ivy League schools. Focus your energy on the other D1 and D2 universities, Cole instructed over dinner. Why, Mr. Chun? Megan asked, confused. Students at Harvard, MIT, and the other top-tier schools don't have as much time to spend on entertainment. Start with the state schools. It was a harsh truth. Cole, a state school alum from his past life, knew it well. Not all of them, of course, but at least 70% of those students were ready to say hell yes to the college party life. I understand, Mr. Chun. Megan reigned in her grand ambitions. Her original plan had been to conquer the Ivies first, to build a prestigious brand. But on second thought, what Cole said made perfect sense. If she weren't working for Headline Today, as a graduating senior herself, she'd be focused on her thesis and career planning, maybe even studying for the GRE. The state schools would be an easier nut to crack. The upperclassmen on the team all had a deep respect for their freshman boss. He was level-headed, calm, innovative, and his ideas were ahead of their time. He could personally negotiate deals and had a knack for advertising. And, of course, there was his unstated title as the world's foremost collector of top-tier campus beauties. If they just followed his lead, they couldn't go wrong. Yvonne, the head of promotions, loved using Cole's case studies to train her team. His reputation in that department was legendary. After dinner, they went to their hotel, 2 standard rooms and 1 king suite. Yvonne was deeply disappointed. Her fantasy of the oops, there's only one room left scenario had evaporated. So close, yet so far. The more those 3 goddesses liked Cole, the more her own heart itched. The team was exhausted from traveling and had a busy day tomorrow, so no one went out. They all retired to their rooms early. Cole had no time to think about Yvonne. That night, his messenger barely stopped buzzing. The sense of clean linen, sweet milk, and fresh fruit seemed to have coordinated, sending him a relentless stream of messages. At 10 o'clock, Jasmine stopped texting and called him instead. Cole, are you in bed? Why is it so quiet? Let me hear what's going on outside. Cole couldn't help but laugh. He knew exactly what she was doing. Sure, sis. Here's the sound of the late-night barbecue joint downstairs. He held his phone out the window. The street below was filled with the clamor of restaurants. Oh, it is a little noisy. Make sure you close the window tight, or you won't be able to sleep. Her little trick exposed, Jasmine coolly and haughtily covered her embarrassment. Got it, sis. Call anytime. Always pick up. Don't worry. The single syllable was filled with satisfaction. Less than 3 minutes after Cole hung up, his phone rang again. It was Serena. Cole, are you in bed? Baby wants to talk to you for a while. After talking with Serena, he started texting with Luna. He would have called, but his line had been busy. It was a very busy night. Even Yvonne in her standard room answered 2 calls. She was in awe. They keep him on this tight a leash? She thought. Good thing I didn't go to his room to discuss work. The next day was Saturday. Serena, who had no classes, was up early anyway. On days when she didn't have an A.M. class, she would always go for a run on the track. Serena, want to go to the library later? Zoe asked, her head peeking out from under her covers. You go ahead. I'll go later, Serena replied, her tone normal, but she had declined the invitation. Okay. Zoe felt a prickle of unease, a wave of guilt. Normally, Serena would never turn down a trip to the library. Did she find out? Serena did suspect Zoe. Of course, it could have been one of her other roommates, too. Otherwise, how would her mother have known her exact whereabouts? But as a law student, she couldn't make accusations without evidence. Confirming her suspicions wouldn't be hard. All it would take was a little fishing expedition. Once her Cole was back, she could set the bait. On the way back to her dorm, her phone rang. It was Jasmine. Hello, Director Young. It's after hours. You can just call me Jasmine. Are you free today? We need to redraft the advertiser and model contracts. I could use your help looking them over. I'm free. Morning or afternoon? Let's do morning. 10 o'clock at the Tea Alchemist. Okay. Serena was thrilled to be able to help Cole. It felt good to be needed, especially when that need came without any other strings attached. It relied solely on her own professional knowledge. She'd been teaching herself contract law lately, mastering the most common clauses, just hoping for a chance to be useful. The last of the gloom in her heart seemed to dissipate. Combined with the post-run sweat, her whole body relaxed, the tension from the other night finally gone. Serena returned to her dorm, showered, and prepared to go out again. Where are you going, Serena? Wanting to come with. Zoe was still in bed. It's okay. I have something to do at the Law Society, Serena said, glancing at her roommate. Until she identified the mole, she would act as if everything was normal. Oh, okay. I'm going to sleep a little longer then. Zoe avoided her gaze, pretending to be exhausted and closing her eyes. The weather today was a little clearer than yesterday. As Serena walked across campus, her graceful figure and refreshingly pure beauty turned many heads. But the exquisitely cool expression on her face was a clear sign. Keep your distance. No one dared to approach her. It wasn't just that they felt inadequate. They knew instinctively that they'd be shot down in flames. When Serena arrived at the Tea Alchemist, she found Luna was already there. Serena, what can I get you? My treat, Jasmine called out from a round table in the corner. A coffee would be great. Thanks, Jasmine, Serena said, not standing on ceremony. She knew Jasmine wasn't short on cash. Jasmine called to the staff to make a hot latte. She already had a coffee, and Luna was drinking a floral tea. Everything had to be paid for, even for them. Otherwise, the end-of-month inventory reconciliation would be a mess. The three of them began to study the contracts, suggesting revisions to certain clauses based on the current situation. Luna, as the finance person, needed to understand these things too. As they were talking, a group chat notification pinged on their phones. They all pulled them out. It was a message from Cole in the main company chat. Cole, let's launch a winter break stories event. Encourage users to post about interesting things they did over the break. The post with the most likes gets a cash prize. At Whitney Yuan, have the planning department flesh out the details. At Wyatt, have the dev team create a few photo collage templates for users who don't have video. Got it, Roger. The three girls also replied with a got it. At that moment, Jasmine felt a strange sensation. The boy she'd practically raised was now someone she had to reply to with a formal got it in a company chat. It was so. It gave her a sense of, my little tree has grown tall. A surge of pride washed over her. Even though it was Cole's own effort, she felt a part of his success. She couldn't resist sending him a private message. Take care of yourself over there. When you get back, I'll have a reward for you. She thought, lace it is then. It wouldn't be the first time I've done something embarrassing for him. To her left, Serena was smiling as she typed her own message to Cole. Baby, I miss you so much. When are you coming back? Every time she thought of him, her heart felt at ease. All she wanted was to live every day happily and freely like this. And to Jasmine's right, Luna was also texting him, brother, make sure you eat on time. Don't get too tired. Her message was much more reserved, filled with quiet care. The man far away in Boston was like a great, shining Buddha statue in the center of her heart, radiating light and suppressing all the darkness around her. After sending their messages, the three girls nonchalantly put their phones down and went back to the contracts. A moment later, Luna's messenger dinged first. Sorry, Director Yang, she said, glancing shyly at the other two before opening the message. Her heart instantly filled with joy. It was from Cole. I know, Lou. I haven't been eating well these past 2 days. When I get back, I'm going to need a bite. A bite of what? It was obvious. Luna's face flushed red. Why does he love that so much? Well, she couldn't do anything about it. She'd have to let him have his bite. Luna felt both shy and satisfied. It was good that he loved it. He should always love it. As she was thinking about how to reply, she felt something was off. She looked up and met two strange, probing gazes. She smiled awkwardly and put her phone down. Now was probably not the best time to be chatting. Ding, 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 ding. Serena's messenger went off. Just as she picked up her phone to open it, Jasmine's chimed as well. Serena glanced at her screen and giggled. It was her Cole. I'll be back as soon as I'm done here. I miss my adorable baby so much too. Serena's brain turned to mush. The pressure from her mother was instantly chased away. I want him to hold me while I sleep. But he's such a pervert. Sitting in the middle, Jasmine tapped open her messenger while glancing at the giggling Serena. She felt bewildered. What's wrong with her? Why is she suddenly acting like an idiot? She looked at her own phone. Sure enough, it was a message from her little brother. I want to see the lace. The kind with straps. I want you to dance for me in it. Jasmine felt a surge of shame and indignation. That little brat has such a dirty mind. No, this was the last time. She couldn't indulge him any further, or he'd start asking for other things. Who knows what he wanted to wear? It was mortifying. When she put her phone down, she was met with two equally strange looks. The ever-elegant and aloof Jasmine Yang was making that kind of expression. Is she seeing someone? Serena and Luna both knew that look. It was the face a woman made only when she was looking at a man she liked. So, did Cole know? The three of them looked at each other, then quickly looked down. Then they looked up again. Jasmine spoke first. Was that a message from Cole? Her gaze sharpened, vigilant, not missing a single flicker of emotion on their faces. Wah! Serena and Luna froze simultaneously. She knows? For a moment, they didn't know how to respond. It felt like something they shouldn't admit. Jasmine fixed her gaze on Luna and asked again, "Was that from Cole?" Under the intense scrutiny of the other two, Luna panicked. She wanted to say yes, but the word wouldn't come out. But their expressions just now, they were too strange. Suddenly, a bizarre mix of possessiveness and competitiveness surged through her, daring her to act. The words finally escaped her throat. "Why, yes." Jasmine's expression didn't change, but her eyes narrowed slightly. She smiled, as if asking casually, "What did he say?" Beside them, Serena's ears perked up. He said. Luna's panic returned, and the wave of competitiveness retreated just as quickly. She couldn't possibly say he wanted a bite. "What did he say?" Jasmine pressed, still smiling. Luna's mind raced. An idea struck her. He was just asking about the expense request for the new office. Oh, Jasmine didn't quite believe her. You make that face over an expense report? But she couldn't push it further without seeming invasive. Peeking at someone's phone was out of the question. She turned to the bewildered Serena. "What about you? Did Cole need help with something?" "Huh? Me?" Serena was momentarily stunned. 120% of her wanted to tell them exactly what he'd said, to prove that he was her Cole. But given the situation, it had to remain a secret. After a brief hesitation, she said calmly, "Cole was reminding me to be aware of any potential legal risks." "All right." Jasmine nodded with an expression of deep understanding, already plotting her next move to probe deeper. It was too dangerous not to, especially with Serena. Just then, Serena and Luna asked in unison, "What about you, Jasmine?" After they spoke, the two girls looked at each other, blinked, and shared an awkward smile. "Me? It was from Cole, too," Jasmine said coolly. As the administrative director and his older sister, getting a message from him was perfectly normal. Seeing their expectant faces, she said calmly, "It was just about personnel registration, social security, things like that." No matter how possessive she felt, she would never reveal such a private message. That was for her and Cole alone, not even to another girl. Serena and Luna's suspicions eased just a little. It was plausible that it was about work, but a woman knows a woman. The look in Jasmine's eyes had been one of deep affection. Affection for who? It was obvious, but an older sister doting on her younger brother. That also made sense. Then again, she was just his adoptive sister. At that moment, the space around the small round table was thick with unspoken theories and crackling with psychic energy. They continued to discuss the contracts, but their minds were like beehives. The worker bees diligently dissected contract clauses. The scout bees monitored the other two for any change in expression. And the queen bee processed all the incoming information while longing for Cole, abuzz with his silent, frantic energy. Around noon, Jasmine checked the time. "Come on, let's get lunch together." "My treat." "Okay, sounds good." Serena and Luna agreed. They were getting hungry. The three of them said goodbye to Wendy, the shop manager, and left. One of the baristas whispered to Wendy, "Manager, which one is the boss's girlfriend? They're all so beautiful," when he pointed a deadpan finger. "That one, and also that one. I have no idea." She used to think it was Luna. But at the New Year's Eve dinner before the break, she'd noticed something. The way the other two looked at Cole. It wasn't right, but she kept this discovery locked away. If things went as planned, she would soon be the Tea Alchemist's first regional supervisor. After that, its first general manager. Sure, Cole sometimes pottered around the shop looking busy, but actually getting in the way. But he had promoted her and paid her a high salary. Who the boss's girlfriend was didn't matter at all. The smart move was to keep her head down. She'd been in the boba business so long she didn't even care about her electrical engineering major anymore. A career plan? To hell with it. Maybe someday, she'd be the first CEO of the Tea Alchemist Group. She was already taking business management courses on her own time. Cole had told her to keep an eye out for new locations. Right now, she was second in command, with more than a dozen people under her. Her title was shop manager, but she effectively had the power of a supervisor. Hiring, training, scheduling, it was all her call. Megan, who had been hired at the same time, was a bit more timid and couldn't handle the pressure. Plus, she had a new boyfriend and was in the throes of second spring. She had no interest in competing. With her $1,800 base salary, plus bonuses, life was comfortable. On the busy street, the three goddesses walked and talked, drawing stares from all around. It was a rare sight to see one girl so beautiful, let alone three at once. Even guys walking with their own girlfriends couldn't keep their eyes from wandering, their gazes splitting left and right like chameleons. One brave soul, egged on by his friends, tried to approach them to ask for their messenger contacts. He had just gotten close before he could even open his mouth when 3 hands shot up in unison, forming a universal stop sign. The courage he had painstakingly summoned instantly crumbled. He slunk back to his friends, defeated. He couldn't do anything else. This was right next to Eastwood University, a top-tier public school. Harassing female students here was a line you didn't cross, not even if you were some rich kid. If the girl was willing, that was another story. The 3 found a popular Thai restaurant and took a 4-person table. Their cheerful chatter and laughter made it impossible for the students at the other 2 tables to focus on their food. The first dish arrived, and Luna immediately thought of Cole. She pulled out her phone and sent him a message. "Brother, have you eaten yet?" A dozen seconds passed with no reply. Figuring he was busy, she put her phone aside and waited patiently. To her left, Serena also took out her phone and texted, "Baby's eating lunch now. Guess who I'm with?" Jasmine, too, thought of her little brother and sent a message. "Are you having trouble with the food over there?" All 3 placed their phones on the table. In February, Boston was windy and dusty. The north wind whipped against their faces, stinging their skin, and sand got in their mouths every time they spoke. Cole and his team had spent the morning at Northeastern University negotiating an ad placement with the student government. Things had gone smoothly. As usual, they would hire temporary staff from the student body. After ordering their own lunch, Cole's messenger pinged. It was messages from his 3 darlings. He quickly replied, answering them in the order they'd arrived. To Luna, "About to eat," you to Serena. "With that roommate of yours?" To Jasmine, "Didn't order anything spicy. Just need to get full." He sent the messages, put his phone down, and started discussing the next steps with Yvonne and the team. Back in Rockford, ding, 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 ding. Luna immediately grabbed her phone and opened it. A smile unconsciously spread across her face. "Is that from Cole?" A head leaned in close from the side. Luna instinctively flipped her phone screen down. Serena didn't see the whole message, but the 2 words Luna had sent, "brother," burned into her vision. "Brother?" Serena's heart clenched. "You call Cole brother?" she asked, her face a mask of curious smiles, but her eyes were filled with confusion and alarm. Why does she call him brother? And why did Cole reply to her first? A terrible premonition began to form in Serena's mind. The word immediately caught Jasmine's attention. Her eyes narrowed. "Brother?" Luna calls Cole brother? Then again, it wasn't entirely out of character for Luna. But what kind of brother? That was the real question. Just then, Serena's messenger pinged. She glanced at it but didn't reply. Her mind was consumed with the word brother. Jasmine also looked at her own phone. Her expression was calm. She ignored it. Yes, I do. I mean, sometimes I call him that," Luna stammered, her eyes darting away. She could feel the shift in the other 2's demeanors. She wanted to summon the courage to just tell them about her relationship with Cole, but one was his sister, the other his classmate since middle school. She couldn't compete with that kind of history. A strange wave of guilt washed over her, as if she'd stolen something from them. It was a bizarre, panicky feeling. "When did you start calling him that?" Jasmine asked, her voice pleasant. Just, last year," Luna said, her head bowed, looking for all the world like a nervous girl seeking her boyfriend's family's approval. "Did he ask you to call him that?" Serena suddenly interjected. "And no, I wanted to," Luna mumbled, her head sinking even lower as she twisted her fingers. A sense of injustice began to well up inside her. She could already feel a faint hostility. Faced with 2 girls from wealthy families who were so close to Cole, her own insecurities began to surface. Her lips trembled, and a feeling of being unaccepted washed over her. Tears began to well up in her eyes. Right now, she desperately wished Cole were by her side. Jasmine immediately noticed something was wrong. Her own tone had been a bit harsh. Other people might not have been affected, but Luna's upbringing was different. She took things to heart. Filled with guilt, Jasmine got up and moved to Luna's side, gently patting her back. "I didn't mean anything by it. I was just asking. Don't worry about it." It's okay," Luna said, wiping her eyes, angry at her own vulnerability. She didn't want to make things difficult for Cole. Serena, sitting opposite, was completely bewildered. What's happening? Why is she suddenly crying? She looked at Jasmine, who gave her a slight shake of the head. Serena guessed there was something she didn't know, but it was clear that Luna's feelings had been hurt. This was completely unexpected. After comforting Luna for another moment, Jasmine returned to her seat. She took a sip of tea and surveyed the 2 girls before her, her gaze finally landing on Serena. "Serena," she said lightly, "what do you usually call him?" I just call him Cole." Serena was taken aback. She hadn't expected Jasmine to ask that. A strange feeling pricked at her. She realized she didn't have a special name for him. He was the one who called her baby, except for that other name. But that was only for private moments. Her competitive spirit flared. She desperately wanted to blurt it out. Oof, Cole calls me baby. But a sense of propriety held her back. To her surprise, Jasmine pressed on, her eyes sharp. Cole calls her Lou. What does he call you? It had just occurred to Jasmine that she had never heard her brother call Serena anything other than Director Shun. That didn't seem right. Huh, me? Serena's face flushed. The word baby was fighting to escape her throat. Let us out. He calls me. He calls me. She stammered, but she couldn't say it. Baby was an intimate pet name. To just announce it like this felt wrong, even though she desperately wanted to prove that her relationship with Cole was different. She maintained her composure. Forget it, you don't have to say. Jasmine waved a hand dismissively. From the look on the girl's face, there was probably some other nickname. Cece? Rena? It was possible. As Jasmine thought about it, a small fire started to burn in her gut, though not too intensely. He already called one of them Lou, so calling the other one Cece or Rena would be normal. But it was just so intimate. That bastard Cole. At that moment, both Serena and a slightly recovered Luna noticed something about Jasmine. Yes, she was jealous. They knew that feeling well. So, an adoptive sister. Could she really just be an adoptive sister? Dangerous. The three of them looked at each other, seeing a flicker of understanding in one another's eyes. The truth wasn't entirely clear, but the air was thick with a mix of suspicion and possessiveness. None of them were stupid, but without concrete proof, they couldn't jump to conclusions. Speculation was one thing. Making a scene was another. That would be a foolish move, benefiting no one. Not themselves, and certainly not Cole. The food arrived. 2 meat dishes, 2 vegetable dishes. But their appetites had waned. They were all lost in their own thoughts. Let's all show the last message Cole sent us, Jasmine suddenly declared. She opened her chat and grandly displayed the screen, her hand conveniently covering the messages above. The whole thing about lace sounded like she was trying to seduce her own brother. There was no way she was letting them see that. Serena and Luna quickly glanced over. The last message seemed normal. But what was her hand covering? You two show yours too, Jasmine urged. It was necessary. At the very least, it would help determine who Cole was closest to. It was normal for girls to like him. He was amazing. But was Cole actively encouraging them? That was the important question. Serena and Luna exchanged a look, both biting their lips. Finally, they mimicked Jasmine holding up their phones. 3 heads huddled together. Serena's was normal, but she was gripping her phone so tightly it was suspicious. Luna's about to eat you. Huh? The missing punctuation, was it intentional or not? Faced with 2 questioning gazes, Luna's face turned bright red. And maybe he forgot the punctuation. She honestly didn't know if Cole had done it on purpose. Because he didn't want to eat Lou, but could she say that? They'd think she was shameless. Jasmine sullenly retracted her phone. But now Serena and Luna were both looking at her. You're his sister, aren't you? What are you hiding? What kind of unspeakable secret could his sister have? It doesn't make sense. Something's up. Jasmine's face grew hot under their stares, but she struggled to maintain her composure. There was no way she could let them see that message. It didn't fit her image at all. The 3 of them ate their meal in sullen silence, each lost in her own thoughts, but united in their desire to ignore a certain someone. Despite this, they all professionally finished drafting the contracts after lunch. In Boston, Cole had been running around all day. When he got back to his room that night, he noticed something was wrong. Why were there no new messages? After a shower, he sent a message to Jasmine. Sis, things went pretty well. I'm heading to Austin tomorrow or the day after. Half an hour passed. Cole was starting to get sleepy when a reply finally came. Hiss. Something was definitely wrong. Cole decided to test the waters. He sent another, cheekier message. Sis, when I get back, I want to see the lace. This time, Jasmine replied instantly. Lace your head. How about I get you a pair of big cotton sweatpants? You want to see those? Cole felt as if he'd been hit by a stun gun. What is going on? His mind spun 1,000 revolutions in a second. Something was definitely up. Everything was fine during the day. Calm down. He tried sending a message to Serena. Baby, are you asleep? 20 minutes later, a reply came. You have the wrong number. There's no baby here. Oh. Cole's scalp started to tingle. He took a deep breath and messaged Luna. Lou, you asleep? 5 minutes later, a message from her arrived. That was relatively fast. Asleep. Luna would never just reply asleep. She would always say, not yet. Cole blinked. He suddenly understood. She was mad at him too. Great. They were all mad. What happened? Cole sat down on the edge of the bed and leaned back against the headboard, rubbing his temples. Could it be? Did the bomb go off? Did someone snitch? Did I screw this all up? After thinking for a while, he couldn't come up with any clear answers. He put his phone on the nightstand to charge and decided not to send any more messages. He had work to do in the morning and a flight to Austin in the afternoon. He needed to get the 3 new offices stabilized as quickly as possible. If he didn't show up in person, the staff would feel insecure. If he led by example, it would significantly boost the confidence of these junior and senior students. Cole reached over and turned off the bedside lamp. A sliver of light from outside seeped through the edge of the curtains, faintly illuminating the dark room. His face was half hidden in shadow, his deep eyes reflecting the dim light. The moment had finally arrived. Relationships, like life, were never smooth sailing. But this would have to wait. When you were on the fast track with your career, everything else was a minor detail, including himself. At this moment, dark Cole began to take over. The Cole who had been sweetened by affection was forced to retreat into the depths of his soul. The little angel and devil on his shoulders merged, becoming Cole, the dark angel. The best emotions needed to be managed by a part of him that was devoid of emotion. If he blindly reacted to the situation, he would lose the initiative. The next day, Cole took his team to 2 more universities. However, he and Yvonne stayed in the background, acting as observers. He let Megan, the manager, and the 2 new promoters take the lead, giving them the freedom to build their confidence while knowing they had his full support. In the afternoon, they held another meeting. He gave them instructions on hiring, emphasizing that they should prioritize students and strictly follow the training guidelines set by Yvonne. He reiterated the procedures for fund requests and expense reimbursements. That evening, he and Yvonne headed straight for the airport. They were in economy, in 2 adjacent seats on the inside. Cole let Yvonne have the window seat. To his left was a woman who looked to be in her late 20s, but Cole's scanning eyes judged her to be over 30. She was just well-maintained. After the plane reached cruising altitude, Yvonne couldn't help but ask, "Mr. Chun, is something on your mind today?" For some reason, she felt like he was a different person. The usual gentleness was gone, replaced by a sharp intensity. His eyes were like hooks, seeming to pierce right through you. Once he decided on something, he acted without a single wasted word. It was kind of cool, and a little old. He was just 1 line away from being a domineering CEO. "I want his entire file in 3 minutes. What could be on my mind?" Cole replied, his face impassive. He sounded